Coming to you live, it's the Forestry and Sawmill Roundtable. Welcome back. Let's get started.
Live.
There it goes. Go! Go, go, go! Go! Let's welcome our special guest this month from the great Northeast, William Prophett, YouTube channel Pirate Solutions Forestry, running a Norwood sawmill. Get your questions ready, and let's welcome William Prophett.
All right, everybody loves the idea of owning a sawmill, right? Running a chainsaw, cutting logs, stacking lumber, all that's a lot of fun. But tonight we're going to talk about something different. How the people in the wood industry actually make money from their chainsaws to furniture, from trees to paychecks. We're going to talk about the services that really pay the bills. Tonight on the Forestry and Sawmill Roundtable, we're talking about something that every logger and woodworker eventually asks, is how do I turn this into money? How do I make it in the wood industry? A lot of people love the idea of working in woods. Did I already say that? Turning those skills into something that actually pays the bills. It's a whole different story tonight. We're joined by William Prophett from the YouTube channel Pirate Solutions Forestry. William's built his path through chainsaw training and forestry education and sawmilling, right? And custom woodworking. Turning knowledge and skills into real-world opportunity. Tonight we're going to talk about the real woodworking side of the wood industry. The equipment, the skills, and the services that actually bring in income from the stump to the finished product and everything in between. So if you ever wondered how people turn their time in the woods into real products, real paychecks, you're in the right place. Tim? Rick? Oh, Rick's muted. Rick's muted. He's on the show and he's muted.
Unmute him.
I'm trying to unmute him. I can't unmute him. He's muted on his side.
Rick, unmute yourself.
So Rick's going to take over running the show.
All right, how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
All right, guys, we're running with a new StreamYard. We're running with a new StreamYard, and we're not quite used to it yet. All right, folks, welcome to the Forestry and Sawmill Roundtable. If you're new here, this is our monthly live stream where we bring together folks from across the forestry, sawmill, and woodcraft world to talk about the real work happening in the woods. Before we get rolling tonight, if you're not subscribed, we would all appreciate your support by dropping down to the description of the channel you're watching from and hit the channel links and subscribe to everybody. If you're watching live, jump into the chat, let us know where you're watching from. Here's our first question for the chat tonight. Who here owns a sawmill and what brand are you running? Let's see what shows up in the chat. Also, a quick heads up, the chat will probably move pretty fast tonight. We'll try to catch as many questions as we can while we're live. But if we miss your question, please leave it in the comments after the show, and we will do our very best to get back to you and get it answered. Tonight, we're really glad to be joined by William Prophett. William runs Pirate Solutions Forestry, and his work covers a wide range of the wood industry, from chainsaw training and forestry education to sawmilling to custom woodworking, furniture making. He's someone who has taken the knowledge of the woods and turned it into real skills and real business opportunities. And that is exactly what we're here to talk about tonight. So, William, let's start right at the beginning. A lot of people watching tonight that love woodworking with wood, but not everybody turns it into a career. Where did your path into forestry and working with wood really begin?
That's an interesting question, Rick. It started out when my wife, Kate, and I got together. She was just closing up a coffee shop, and that's where we met. I used to go in there in the morning and have my coffee and read my newspapers. And when we got together, Kate's grandfather had left aside a plethora of the old Craftsman 113, the old Delta Atlas tools. And we restored them all and decided that we wanted to go into business together and start doing woodworking. And it's really where it started. So we I had a pretty big following on Facebook, and we started putting out feelers, started to get our feet wet, got jobs, started doing jobs. And then once upon a time, some of our old Norway maples started to come down in the backyard. And we said, we can't let any of these go to waste. And at that time, our really only option was to start chainsaw milling them. So I started building chainsaws. I had been in the chainsaw business for a long time, had two Husqvarna 268s that I used to call the twins. They were my favorite saws ever. And I started cutting firewood with a friend when we were 16. So I started building chainsaws, and we made chainsaw mills just so we could mill the Norway maples that were coming to end of life in our yard and falling to use in our woodworking business. And the next thing you know, everybody in our area found out that we could chainsaw mill stuff. And that kind of derailed the whole thing. It turned into its whole separate business. People calling saying, "Hey, can you come to our house? We're having a tree dropped and we feel terrible about it, and we want to turn it into, something, a table or whatever." So it turned into a whole separate business. So for 4 or 5 years before COVID, we chainsaw milled pretty much full time and sold slabs and chainsaw mill for people in the field. Then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I grew up in the trades, from a machine shop to a framer to a finish carpenter to you name it. I got hired by a company that I did chainsaw milling for to do all their outdoor funky carpentry work. And it was very, very high end, from knee braces out of the USS Constitution to doing 500 feet of, locust handrails down a stairway to the ocean. You name it, we did it. We did all kinds of funky projects, real high-end stuff, all during COVID for about 3 years. And COVID wiped me out. It just wiped me out. Kate got hurt about halfway through, hurt her back. So the second half of COVID, which is how I rate time now. I rate time by COVID. I'm like, oh, when did that happen? Oh, it was just before COVID. So it was like 6 years ago. But I beat the crap out of my body. It was every single morning, load up the tools in the truck, go to the lumber yard, load the truck with lumber, go out and do the job, come back home, unload the truck, next morning load the truck, and it was nonstop, 7 days a week for 3 years. We were fortunate in our area that when lockdowns started to happen around the cities, people fled the cities and came to their summer houses, which is where we live, down on Cape Cod. So they said, "You're not locking us down. We'll go to the Cape." And they came to the Cape and tried to build up here on the Cape and said, "Hey, fix our Cape house up so we can live here nonstop. We don't want to go back to the city. We don't want this to be over." And at the end of COVID, I was so beat that I looked at Kate one night. I was watching deliveries on Sawmills, and I was down to really an LT35 or a Norwood HT36 V2. And the LT35 was so far out on delivery, it was like 2 years out. And Norwood ran a Black Friday sale. And we were sitting here in November, and I looked at the Black Friday sale, and I said, "Is it okay if I do this?" She's like, "Hell yeah." So we pulled the trigger, and everything else is history from there.
Was the Norwood the very first sawmill you have ever run?
Other than chainsaw mills, yes. That was the very first bandsaw mill I've ever run.
So when was the moment after you got to Norwood that you thought this could become a business?
We planned it. We planned beforehand. We actually went about this, and I know it's kind of going to cover some of the things that we're going to talk about later, but we really went about this the right way. We got a machine to load the mill, a trailer. I actually set up a sharpening station before I ever got the sawmill. I was getting sawmill bands from a friend of ours up in New Hampshire who had a wood miser, and sharpening for him before we ever got the sawmill. We had planned very well in advance that, we knew, well, hey, look, we need to load it. We already had a good supply of logs from the chainsaw milling side, because when I say I was chainsaw milling, I wasn't just like chainsaw milling every now and then. I mean, I was doing it full time. I was in on the ground floor. When I started chainsaw milling, there were only 3 or 4 of us that were doing it, like really doing it. And we were doing it full time. So our whole yard was log piles and slabs and everything when we got the Norwood. But I had to get away from the building side. And we went about it the right way. We took all the steps beforehand before we got the mill, and that made the transition much, much easier.
Nice. All right, you guys out there in the audience, type tree in the chat if you've ever cut a tree down by yourself.
I did that today.
Does that include us or not?
That first thing this morning.
All right, give me a second here to look at the questions.
Oh,
If you guys got any questions out there, now's a good time to put it down, and they will pop it up there on the screen so you can see it.
Chris said the video keeps timing out, but I show it's running good here. Everything on the back end looks good.
I don't know. Chris, who are you watching it through?
I can see. Oh, there it is.
Wonder what channel he's watching it through.
I don't know. I think it's on his end. My end looks good anyway. Streaming
Yeah,
looks
ours
good.
seems to be doing good. Hey, Neil.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks
All right,
good.
so, all right, William. So you said you've been messing with chainsaws for a long time. What's some of the mistakes you see beginners make with chainsaws?
Let's see. I would say the first thing is that number one, they buy too small a saw and then try to ride it like it's a rented mule. The
Yep.
second thing is that, and even into tree services, I run into this all the time because I actually do, like, people call me up and have me come over and do seminars for their workers on sharpening. Nobody knows how to sharpen. It's like it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life is how clueless people are about filing a chainsaw chain. I have no idea why. Because Bill still holds me in high regard. I was lucky in the fact that when we got into woodworking, we started into hand tool joinery. First winter it was like, oh crap, out in the machine shop it's really cold, but we have the table saw and the joiners and everything. So we set up a joinery shop inside the house. We took the old parlor, and this is like an 1870s farmhouse, and we turned that into a joinery shop. And we got into hand tool joinery. We started restoring hand tools. Well, I got into sharpening and filing all my own hand saws. And that gives you a real good fundamental understanding of flame angles and rake angles and exactly what the teeth are doing while you're cutting. But chainsaws really aren't that complicated. I mean, I learned when I was 16 years old. The guy, sold me my first Shindaiwa. It was a 60cc Shindaiwa, and he's like, oh, just, push the file across it until it starts running smooth and just follow the tooth angle. it was like, but then the ones that I get in from customers, even tree services, these guys are running saws all day, every day. They're just brutal. It's like, are you even watching?
I know I'm late to the show. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Neil.
But what would you say the biggest, most common mistake that you would see as far as sharpening? I know me trying to learn how to hand file is trying to keep all the teeth at the right angle and making sure that gullet is cut out right and get that burr to flip on the edge of that tooth.
All right, so two things with what you just said. Number one, your teeth don't all have to be the same angle.
Okay.
That's way overblown. The gullet's a little bit more important because what happens with the gullet is you're putting your angle on your tooth.
Right.
So the deeper that you make the gullet, the more you undercut the tooth and the more sharp you make that angle.
Okay.
And the less it's going to last. You kind of want that angle. I think in almost any tool, and we sharpen everything from chipper knives to plane blades to chef's knives to you name it here, professionally. But a general rule of thumb is about 30 degrees. So included angle about 30 degrees seems to be about what the most durable is to still cut. You want when you have your file, you want about a 30 year file to be over the top of that tooth.
Okay.
To create that 30 degree C, which is called rake angle.
Right.
That 30 degree rake angle on your cutting edge so that your cutting edge has a chance of lasting a little while. If you get your gullet really deep and you get the file way underneath, you'll make a real sharp, fine. It'll dig in, it'll cut great at first, but all you're going to do is you're going to roll that edge over really quick. And once it starts to roll, it just dulls right off really fast.
Yeah, one thing I just picked up on was like keeping the part of that file above that tooth. Don't try to keep that file underneath it and barely touch the top of that tooth. You want it to stick above that tooth. Very noticeable.
You want that to remove some of that material.
You're better off to file with a file that's too big than undercut that tooth. Even when people bring in those, the stupid little limbing saws and the climbing saws and stuff like that call for like little quarter files or 5/16 files, I'll file them or 5/32. I'll file them with a 7/32 file.
Right.
And give them back to them because it creates a real durable edge.
I've never gotten real good at sharpening with the hand file. I bought me one of those. Is it the Timberline or whatever locks on your bar and you keep that 30 degree angle, and it does fairly well. But most of the time, Mr. Robert sharpens everything known to man. I just bring it to him with my saw.
Right. He's a treasure. We're lucky to be alive while he's around.
Yeah, he's a trip now.
Yep. As far as that, that fleam angle that you're talking about, the 30 degrees, which is called fleam, it's way overblown. It doesn't super matter. You can get that angle anything in between, let's say 15 to 30, and it's going to do its job. I mean, that all it is it's a shear angle as it goes through the wood to shear across the wood. You can, in my chainsaw milling, I file at 10.
Right.
And I can pull out one of my chainsaw mill saws and cross cut with it all day. I mean, even at 10 degrees, it'll still cross cut fine, perfectly fine. And I think there's also, I think, a misconception. There are a lot of people say, well, should I get a rip chain or should I get a regular chain? They're all the same chain, just filed at different angles.
I know that sometimes when I've tried to hand file or a chain gets dull, when you cut and you get your bar about halfway in, that jerker wants to it veers off and wants to bind everything up. That right there, that'll make a good man cuss.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good test for how everything is in the entire system, because there's a lot more components than just the chain. I think the most important thing is I like to use a progressive raker gauge, which sets every raker drag, depth gauge, whatever you want to call it. I was kind of taught to call them drags, but I think raker is pretty universally, it's not a raker. When you take your rakers down, first of all, your rakers need to be at an angle like this. You don't take them off flat on the top. They need to be at an angle like this. A progressive gauge does a really good job at doing that. And also a progressive gauge sets every raker to every tooth. And a lot of the other raker gauges bridge across several teeth, and you stick your file in the 30,000 slot or the 25,000 slot, you file straight across. Those don't really do a good job. If you use a progressive raker gauge, it doesn't really matter if your chain's balanced. You don't have to count strokes on one side or the other. It doesn't matter if all your teeth are the same size. If you use a progressive raker gauge, all your teeth are taking the same bite, and they'll cut straight as long as your bar's in good shape and you don't have big burrs on your bars and your bar rails are like this or something like that. But I think a progressive raker gauge is a must.
And your rakers are just as important as how sharp your teeth are.
Oh, I would say easily yes. I think that the only thing that's going to really keep a saw from cutting, unless it's absolutely whooped, is if your rakers are too high. Period.
Right.
If you bring your rakers down, you can dig in, your dogs and make a dull saw cut. It ain't gonna cut great, but it's gonna cut. As long as your rakers are in.
Guy gave me a tip one time. He said, you know how to keep your chain very sharp? Keep it out the dirt.
Yes, exactly.
That works. All right, so let me ask around the table real quick. Andy, you and Paul do a lot of chainsawing. Who sharpens your chains?
We both sharpen our own, but I have to admit, I cheat. I use the steel sharpener.
The 3-in-1.
Yes.
Yep.
How about Eric and Matthew?
I generally sharpen all of them. I was taught at an early age. I was getting paid to do tree work at 14-year-old.
Hand file?
Hand file. Man, they learn how to, if you got a vise and a hand file, I'll make one to tear you up. When it hits your legs, it stings.
Yep. Yeah. Neil, we already know your answer. Craig.
I do have the electric one. If I get a chain way out of whack or something, I'll go through and straighten it up and then hand file from there. But There's nothing wrong with having one of the electric ones to get you back
Right.
in line.
Yep. How about you, Craig?
Yours truly.
You sharpen your own chains,
Yes, I do. I sharpen my own stuff.
hand file or machine?
I do both. It just depends on the day.
John?
Oh, mine's all electric. All electric. Yeah, absolutely. I hand file, and I'm the one that everybody's talking about how bad this guy hand files. That's me. I don't hand file it. So I take 12 chains to the woods, and they're all sharp, and they'll all eat their way through the wood by themselves. And when they won't, that one comes off, and another one goes on. Period.
Yep.
And
I got
then-
a cousin tree worker does the same thing. He takes a whole bundle of them on his truck. He said, "I'm not sharpening a chain for the customer. I'll just put a new one on and go cut."
You didn't have a sharp one on your mill the other day.
We hand file in the woods, but if we have to touch a chain up, we do have an electric sharpener as well. Does a pretty good job too. So,
Yes.
William, you get to talk to a lot of people. You run into many misconceptions about sawmills and chainsaws.
Oh my God. Be more specific. Misconceptions like what? Like it's easy
Oh.
or
Yeah, is anything that somebody, when they're talking to you, they say something and you're like, yeah, I don't think so.
oh
you can
wow,
cut
yeah.
plywood with your sawmill.
You know, the chainsaw mill. The chainsaw mill. I love to see the post where the guy's got the 12-foot pine log and he says it took 45 minutes to get through the cut and 3 tanks of fuel, and I do it 6. And that all goes back to filing. As far as sawmills go, that's real. Every time somebody comes out to the mill to pick up lumber, it's always bigger than they thought it was going to be. Unlike me, the sawmill's always like, they go, "Oh my God, this is really awesome. I didn't expect anything like this." I don't know what they did expect, but wow, misconceptions.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions. I think one of the biggest misconceptions we run into is we'll get people that they'll go up here in the Adirondacks and walk into a bar and it has a rustic bar top. And the first thing they do is they'll call us, yeah, we want a slab 12 foot long, 4 inches thick, and 36 inches wide.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, needed it yesterday.
And I want it made out of maple.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
I run into that because, with me, typically all I do is I either cut for myself or I cut for customers. I don't cut any stock. So my time on the sawmill every day is only cutting customer orders. The people that contact me for stuff that they want, just like you said, I get all I can't get it anywhere else impossible things on the request line every night. Well, can I get a 24 by 24 white oak beam that's 48 feet long? Can I get? I need a white oak slab that's 56 inches wide. I get that stuff all the time.
They want it dry and they want it yesterday.
Yep. And all the hardwoods, that's why I only want to concentrate on pine. I do cut hardwood yesterday, but I want to concentrate on pine because as far as the hardwoods goes, it's everybody asks for it. And then the first thing they say is, well, is it dry?
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions we have is the size of a tree. We tell people you can't find a maple 56 inches in diameter to cut your slab. I said they don't come that big anymore. And we have a white pine tree that sits by our sawmill. And I asked him, I said, go over there and put your arms around that pine tree and tell me what the diameter of that pine tree is. And we get, oh, that's 48 inches easily. It's only a 28-inch pine tree.
Yep.
But they
Exactly.
think it's massive, which it is massive, but it's not as big as they think it is.
It's the old fisherman thing. It's the old, growing up as a fisherman, it's the old fisherman thing. If they say it weighed 10 pounds, it weighed 5.
Yeah, but your
Right.
average bar is only 24 inches wide. So
Yep,
I don't know where
exactly.
they're going to 4 or 5 foot. And
They'll
then
call
have
me up and say, I
4
got a big
inches
tree
thick.
down. Do you want it? I say, well, how big is it? They'll say, oh, it's 30 inches around. You go over there, it's 15. It's
Yeah.
Just like the deer. Just like the deer.
Yes.
I shot a 24-inch buck. Oh yeah, it was 12.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
exactly. Divide by
But
2.
I do have to say, when that tree hits the ground, it doesn't get any smaller.
No.
It's a big thump, though.
Yeah. On the chainsaw aspect, I didn't really understand this and know it until I got into milling a lot more and using a chainsaw a lot more. Some people watching may not know this either. You have a green chain and a yellow chain. Can you explain the difference to everybody as far as that tooth profile?
Yeah, that's in steel. In steel,
Right.
they have the green and yellow, and they have the green and yellow
Right.
bars too. So, what my if we break it down simple, is you got full chisel chain and you got semi chisel chain. All right, in green and yellow, you have a different raker also. You go from a standard raker in the yellow chain to what they call is like a safety raker in the green chain, where they have almost like the double rakers, which is supposed to eliminate kickback. But if we just say that what you just said was a pro level chain and then a everyday amateur chain,
Right.
it pretty much semi chisel down into and full chisel. Well, in chainsaw milling, I only run semi chisel. I won't run full chisel in milling. You knock that working corner off a full chisel chain, your milling days are over. But the semi chisel chain will keep going and going and going and going. It's like cutting dirty firewood. If you're cutting dirty firewood, if you take full chisel into dirty firewood, you just don't know what you're doing. It's just dumb. I mean, all you're doing is you're shortening your day and making yourself frustrated. So what I would call
Everybody
is
else?
green chain is semi chisel ish. I don't know anybody that would run like safety chain on a chain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I guess the only people running full chisel are, cutting for a pro some reason, because it will cut faster. It just don't last as long. The
So
semi chisel,
if you're bucking,
instead of having a sharp point, it's a radius, and it'll cut all the way around that radius. Whereas that sharp point, if you nick it off, there goes your sharpening.
yep, and it's over. It won't dig.
Yep.
And it's all, if you're falling trees, where it's really, really important when you're falling trees to keep your speed up, because it can get dangerous if you slow down, especially when you get close to the hinge. If you're falling trees, you want to have that full chisel. You want that speed. But if you're out in a dirty pile of wood, bucking logs down, don't waste your time with full chisel. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just figured
So-
that was a detail that a lot of people just didn't ever pay attention to, and they go to buy a chain and say, well, what's the difference between this one and this one, and never really dig into it and see. Because I did the same thing for a while until you start looking and really kind of paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, some guys prefer a full, the skip tooth, and
I was
some
going to say skip
full
tooth. Yep.
Yeah, I know
There's a
Thomas,
big misconception right there, skip tooth. That's a huge misconception in chainsaws.
right? Thomas would run that on his big Lucas slabbing mill. To run the skip on that big machine there.
I found that the skip
explain
tooth
it.
sharpen a little bit quicker.
What's that?
The skip tooth sharpen a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
Yep.
I guarantee it. They showed a 60-something inch bar, or 70-inch bar, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one. You don't want to sharpen it. It takes forever.
All right, so William, explain the downside of a skip tooth. Just
It's slower. It cuts slower. You got less
Okay.
teeth in the cut, just cut slower.
Right.
The advantage to a skip tooth is if you take an underpowered saw, run a bar that's too big, the skip tooth will get your feet per second up on your chain on a saw that
Kind of
can't
compensate.
pull a whole comp
Yeah.
at that speed. But the misconception is that skip tooth cuts faster. It doesn't. It's nothing could be further from the truth. When you run full comp chain, you got more teeth in the cut. Full comp chain cuts faster. There's no doubt about it.
okay.
But skip tooth, you can keep your chain speed up on an underpowered saw with a big bar. But if you've got a big saw, I mean, I run 56-inch bars on my mill saws with full comp, and we'll mill off a 15-foot white oak, 36 inches wide, in 10 minutes on 1 tank of gas with full comp chain.
What about controlling noodles? Does it help space out the noodles so they don't plug up the saw?
Well, when you're milling, you're not getting noodles because you're cutting across the end of the grain and not along the grain, so you're not getting noodles. But as long as when you file, you don't let that gullet come way up. You keep your gullet cleaned out. You're going to have no problem in a mill saw cleaning sawdust.
Gotcha.
You just don't create enough. You're not creating enough speed. I mean, enough sawdust during the cut to cause a problem. Maybe if you got into real gummy wood, I've had that problem in like hemlock, in big hemlock. I'm talking about huge hemlock, cutting big hemlock slabs where they got big pitch pockets in them and stuff like that. You can kind of go up a chain like that. But other than that, if you're milling hardwood, you're never, ever going to have to worry about sawdust. It's so fine and it spits it out so fast. It's just not a concern.
Yep.
All right, so
Go ahead.
you've been messing with a chainsaw since you were a teenager. Do you remember back in the days when they had the bow saws? The bow chainsaws, they called it a bow saw.
Sure, I know what they are. I've never used one though.
I'm just curious, what was the purpose of it? I never owned one.
They made them specifically for bucking logs in a log pile, and I don't know enough about them to know exactly why. It had something to do with to keep them from getting pinched.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that could make sense.
I don't know how it worked, but that's what they did. They didn't last that long,
Maybe
so they couldn't look at it.
Yeah, they could have been that good.
Yeah, chainsaws have come a long way. Remember the old heavy-duty McCullochs? I grew up with one of them. You had to reach beside the bar and oil it.
Yep.
And we had
those
time.
old
Had one that had a thumb oiler.
Yep, those old home lights. I mean, all the ones I started with, you had to thumb oil them. Those old home lights, and they were great saws too. They really pulled like.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, we saw a lot of wood with it growing up. Dad had a couple of them, and your toolbox, you had chain, screwdriver, half-inch, 9/16 wrench, and a little bottle of gas because the things wouldn't crank if you did just a little bit in the carburetor.
And we used to when I started selling firewood at 16, we were cutting 4-foot logs and hand splitting them in the woods and selling them in 4-foot lengths. That's how we sold firewood, was 4-footers.
Wow, really?
Hand loaded into the back of pickup trucks, sold everything in 4-foot lengths.
Lord have mercy.
Huh.
I don't want to handle 4-foot firewood.
Oh, that would tire you. That would tire you out by the end of the day.
And hand split them in the woods, just like you'd split a log, except hitting it on the side until it would start to crack, then throw a wedge in it, beat it, break it in half, throw it in the truck.
I seen a guy on YouTube a while back. I've been thinking about adding a wood boiler, a hot water boiler, he had a monstrous one, and he'd put 2 or 3 logs on his tractor, go over there, and the hinge on that roof would roll back, and he'd just drop them right in the top and then close back.
like a
About
nuke plant.
6 foot long logs. He'd just put them right in the top of the boiler, and the lid closed right back over.
Yes.
That's all. We had a place up in the Adirondacks with my ex that we had a cabin up in the Adirondacks, and we burned 4-foot round logs in the fireplace.
Oh yeah,
Whole 4-foot round.
So y'all burn firewood up there?
Dad had a
Yes,
he had
we
a,
burn firewood.
when I was growing up, Dad had a hot air furnace in the basement, and it had like an 18-inch door. But you split it down and it would go through that door.
Yep.
You didn't make little bitty pretty chunks. Whenever it was small enough to go in that door, that's when you stopped.
That's one in. Yep.
I got a stove going next to me right now.
It's like summertime down here the last week or two.
I
We
won't
used
tell
to
you
have-
it was 85 degrees here today.
Yeah, it's been hot.
Ooh.
We got up to 40 today.
If someone was out there looking to buy a chainsaw, what would you recommend on choosing as far as bar length goes? I mean, I have my opinion on bar length and how your chain.
Somebody who knows how to run a saw, or somebody who's a newbie.
What is that number?
Maybe. I mean, you could touch a little bit on either one, but as far as long as chain stays sharp, or what, I guess it depends on what you're cutting. I mean, they maybe dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I've kind of changed my opinion on that over the years. I started out really running 20s all the time as a kid, and up until I started chainsaw milling, and then that went like crazy. But I always ran a 20. Now I always run a 25. So if somebody said to me, let's say it was a guy on a tree crew, hey, Billy, I want to go down, I want to buy my own saw. What length bar do you think I should get? I'd say a 25. I think that's a good middle of the road bar. If it's a newbie, first of all, I'll tell them to get an electric one. I'd tell them to stick with 18.
Right.
Something around there.
Your toes are further away.
Yeah. And with the 25, I mean, I used to like running the 36 all the time because for 3 years, all I ran was a 36 every day. I never ran a small saw unless I was just bucking limbs off of something that I was milling. But I ran 36 90% of the time. And even when I was cutting firewood, I would just cut with the 36. And man, I'll tell you what, you get used to it after a while. It's nice to stand up and buck with a 36.
That's one good thing about a long bar. Another one, on my opinion, on that long bar, my theory is on it is you got a longer chain. It has to make less passes, revolutions through that log to cut the log. So your chain can stay sharper longer with a longer bar if you're staying out of the dirt, of course.
Yes.
Yeah,
And if you hit something, you're only hitting it with a smaller portion of the chain.
I'm afraid of giving a newbie anything more than 20 inches.
Right, that's right.
Using
Really,
that longer bar like that too, you let the saw, the weight of that saw, help you get through that wood.
Yeah,
You're always cutting with the tip too.
Yeah.
The 2 saws that I keep here in the sawmill, I will never let a new person touch either one of them. That 500i, they got no business ever touching it. It's a hot saw on top of being a 500i. And then I got a 545 Pro Husky, and that thing is a monster in a small package. That's not it's not a beginner learning saw. Now I got an 029 here. Learn on that.
Hello, Russ. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
There's Russ.
Yep.
Well, I got to say, Eric, that the chainsaw I have on my mill, anybody can use it who wants to, but nobody wants to. It's an old. It's an old.
You got that old green go-go on there, right? Have you?
Yeah, purple too.
It's a 25-year-old wild thing.
I had one of them years ago, and I didn't buy it. I found it in a dumpster. Somebody knocked the chain off it, couldn't fix it, just threw it in the dumpster. And I brought it home, and my 3 kids, they used it when we were sawing firewood, one of them little bitty go greens or whatever.
Yeah. Wild
Well,
thing.
we both got the wild thing, and you can't kill them damn things. I swear.
I have one up in a box.
We've run them over. We've hit them with other chainsaws, dropped trees on them. You just can't kill the damn things. We try.
Well,
I've thrown it. I've thrown it out in the woods and gone back and got it a week later.
biggest thing I see with people like us that need a saw and need a good saw, they're unwilling to spend the money and buy a pro saw. I don't care. I've had them all. I like them all. Shindawas, Huskies, Steels, and got all of them currently. But to pay up and buy a pro saw, you're stepping into another level, and you're going to pay a lot of money.
Especially if you walk into a store and don't know what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
because you get talked up pretty quick. If I was going to go down into my steel dealership right now and buy a saw off the rack, they got some 365s in there, Huskies.
Yeah, that
I would for like $670. I would buy that in 2 seconds over spending $1,200, $1,500, $1,800 on another saw. I'd buy that old 365 Husky in a second. I mean, not old, it's brand new, but just still adjustable, great saw, pulls great.
I loved the 372 until they took them to $1,400 a piece.
I have an old 372 XP out here. It runs, but it needs reworking and some taking care of. So if anybody watching does that kind of work, get up with me.
That's why I ended up.
I mean, you can't get your finger off the throttle. It revs up so fast. I mean, that's a powerful saw. I like it.
Guys,
I read a couple of 36s. I read a
Michael
couple
Wilson
of
real quick.
I like them all.
I thought Michael had a longer bar than 25 inches.
He runs a 28. Mike runs a 28.
Yeah, he's got a long run.
Yeah, I thought he had a longer bar than 25. So let's talk about what we're here for, making money with wood. I think everybody on here makes money with wood. What's in your opinion one of the best services with wood that pays decent money, Bill?
My biggest profit center is cut and trailer decks. That's where I make my most money. Cut and trailer decking. I can cut trailer decking at $3 a board foot, cut 1,600 board feet in a couple of hours. That's where the money is. If I could cut trailer decking all day, every day, that's what I'd do. But I don't want to cut trailer decking all day, every day. And also, when I get into cutting trailer decking, I'm competing with the firewood guys for the wood. When I'm cutting pine, I'm not competing with the firewood guys for the wood. All my wood's free, and the wood's $1 a board foot when I sell it, but there's no problem getting it. There's no problem filling orders. So pretty much what I do is mainly cut pine all day, every day, except for yesterday, if you watch my video where I got the oak. But $300 on 3 boards, $280 for 3 boards, 3 3x8s. I mean, how can you beat that on a piece of oak? I mean, 25 minutes of cutting.
Yeah, you can't.
No.
I've had some guys ask me about the cut and trailer deck down here. Mostly what we have down here this far south is a lot of water oak. They asked for red oak, and I've tried to explain to them that there's not very much difference at all between that water and red until you get to the white oak, and that's a whole entire different species. And they just are very
adamant. A whole entire different price range. Yep.
Well, you got to sell what's in your market.
That's right.
I talked to a lady today, and she was wanting locust or cypress, and I was like, neither one of those grow right here. I sell what I can buy here locally, and that's all you can do. I can sell a lot of cypress, but I got to get it from way down there where he's at. They don't grow here.
And by the time you get
Locust
it
and cedar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neil can sell. He can sell all the white oak I shipped to him, and I can sell all the cypress I got back.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
In another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'll get into my cedar and locust season. So people will start coming out of the woodwork to build all their outdoor flower boxes and all that crap. And everybody will want locust and cedar. And actually, the tree job I did this morning took a cedar down. And I can't. Once upon a time, I had piles of black locust, and I cut it. Oh my God! I cut 100,000 board feet of black locust with chainsaw mills. And now we just can't get it anymore. I don't know what's going on. I priced locust last year at a guy that owned a whole bunch of little cottages down on Cape Cod, and he wanted to put trim on all of them as a rebuild in the spring. So he sent me this big cut list for just eastern red cedar, the juniper, and we used to get it by the boatload. And so I had to start pricing log trucks. They wanted $5 in the round a board foot for a log truck of red cedar. $5 in the round for a log truck. Yeah, I just had to call the guy back and say, sorry, I don't have enough and I can't do it.
Get a loan for that.
No, I'm selling it for $5 a board foot cut.
Yeah.
Neil, any practical use for sweet gum?
Yes.
That Mr. Eric and Matthew could get that when they mill that pretty good bit. The only thing I've ever used it for is making them catfish hand grappling boxes where you get in the water and pull the catfish out of them. Yeah, they go up in the water, underwater.
This whole wall behind me is sweet gum.
Yep.
It's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I tell people, any
That's
wood
awesome.
that grows in your area will be good for interior wallboard. I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you can dry it and then re-straighten it, re-flatten it, you can make something pretty out of it.
Andy, anything on that chestnut, American chestnut, that you can add?
American chestnut?
Yeah. You gotta,
It still exists, but they never get large enough to really harvest it anymore.
Sorry about that. I had to close the door. We've having a heck of a thunderstorm.
I thought he was going to come back with a chestnut.
Yeah, I'd like some chestnut.
let's
So-
see. Here's 5, 6, 7.
Down there-
Eric.
Down there on the Cape, William, what's your source of pine? You say you get pine for free. Do they have big forests down there?
Yeah, it's really an interesting story how we got where we are, but we've grown back. We got wiped out up here. Actually, it changed the entire sawmilling forestry business in 38. 38, we got wiped out. It wiped out the entire Northeast. We'd already deforested. When the settlers came in the 1800s, they basically cut everything flat, used it to try to stay alive, and made farmland. So they basically deforested Massachusetts in the 1800s. But in 1938, when the big hurricane came up here and blew everything in Massachusetts and Vermont, New Hampshire, and part of Maine. It blew all the trees down. The government had to step in and start their own forestry control program, because what was going to happen was when all the wood that got blown down got cut up and hit the lumber market, it was going to crash the lumber market in the United States. So the government came in and basically commandeered the Northeast and set up lumber sawmill camps all over the Northeast and hired tens of thousands of men and women both to run the sawmill camps. They just had to go and live there to cut the lumber, and then they took all the lumber and they stored it and they kept it out of the market so it didn't crash the market. And they did that up until 41, 42 when the war got going really bad, and then they had to take everybody out of the lumber camps and put them to work, making steel and everything else for the war. But we've been through some real cycles, and the way our forests start is our forests start with locust.
Really?
So locust comes up first, and then after the locust comes up, then we start getting all our pines. Our number one tree in my area is the pitch pine, and the pitch pines come up, the white pines come up. Then the last is the maples, and the maples are considered an invasive species up here, and the maples will take over and their canopies will lay over everything, kill everything off. So that's kind of the progression that our forests go. So wherever you live, and the oaks grow in there at some point. So wherever you live, you're somewhere in that progression from nothing to maple. And then the maples die and whatever's underneath them takes off. So,
Right.
Are you guys having any issues with disease on your white pine?
no, just our ash and the chestnuts and stuff like that, but no disease with the white pine. There's been some rumors around that it's coming, but we haven't seen it.
We're getting hammered here with three things: white pine blister rust, the weevil, and red rot.
Red rot's a bad one.
Where are you?
Upstate New
Adirondacks.
York, just
Upstate.
southern Adirondacks.
Whereabouts in upstate?
Just north of Utica.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah,
We're not getting any of that out here. I couldn't tell you last white pine that I milled that had an ounce of rot in it. So it's one of my favorite trees to mill. There's just never a problem with it.
that
The
must be
weevil,
nice.
it just you end up with a multi-trunk tree. They're a real pain in the ass.
Like getting cat faces in them and then they split off or something like that, or
They come in and they kill the main leader towards the top, and then the tree. You know how white pine will respond when they lose that leader. More than one of the side shoots will try to take over, and then you end up with a multi-leader tree, and it screws everything up.
yeah, we very rarely see a multi-liter white pine here. Very, very rarely. They grow really straight, really big.
Once
We're not
the
that far away
tree's
from
above
each
a certain height, they won't bother it. But all our younger white pine, they've been weeviled.
Wow.
I think white pine is one of my favorite woods to cut, other than the pitch that comes out of it.
Yeah, all we have down here, but we've been running 95% pine plantations. It's just the pine beetles.
Yeah.
They'll get in a stand, and you can get quiet in there, and you'll hear them chewing on the trees while they're standing.
I've been in some cabins where you go to bed at night and you can hear them chewing on the wood in the cabin.
Yeah, if you got some logs laying in the yard, you go flip some bark and get plenty of fishing bait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
Them big larvae, they'd be as big as your thumb.
Big white ones.
Yeah.
I hate them things.
The birds around my sawmill, they know when I'm cutting. They'll all come land on the mill while I'm cutting and all around it, and they'll land on my log deck out there and eating all the bugs and the worms that's falling out on the ground. They love when I'm out there milling every day.
Sounds like
Our
my
neighbor-
magpies out here.
What's that?
My magpies do the same thing.
Oh,
out
do
here.
they?
Yeah.
Our neighbor tends bees, and every time we mill, the bees will come over and get on the lumber. You must be getting sugars out of there somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said that wormy pine makes nice lumber. There's a lot of times you cut that older log, and I'll do it on some of my wood, let it sit for a little while, bark slipping, and you cut it, and you'll get them little bitty pinholes all in that pine wood, and it's black around it, and it
Yep.
adds a tremendous amount of character to that wood, and only time can do that.
Yeah,
I have woodpecker damage in my spruce that does the exact same thing.
Really?
Yeah, wormy
Yeah.
white pine sells good around here.
Yeah.
Now, we had a question about making money. Now we all do this, so we all know. But tell our people how you figured out from the beginning. What can I do? What can I sell in my market? Because mine's different than yours. To make a living, because it don't happen organically. You have to work at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a bad example of this because I took a big step backwards. I took a big step backwards from building out in the field financially to sawing full time. Matter of fact, I had another bit. I used to sell seafood too in the morning. I'd be home by 9:30 in the morning every morning.
Hey guys.
And I closed that down.
Hey, I hate to interrupt here, but I gotta go. I got neighbors. Something's on fire over there, so I'll be back, or maybe I won't. But
All right,
gotta
John.
go. All right. Later.
God bless, John.
Good job.
So my sawmill was what I would say is a soft retirement from being out in the field.
Yeah.
So I don't go at it like I'm trying to make $1,000 or $5,000 a day. So I'm a bad example of that. Like you and Matthew, the stuff that you do, Eric, you're banging out a completely different level on the sawmill than I am. Same thing with Neil. My business model is very, very unique because now that Norwood has latched on to me and made me an international ambassador, to where I travel, go to all the shows and run the sawmills for them at all the lumber shows and everything. And they take really good care of me. Well, not only does Norwood take really good care of me, not only do I own my machinery and my truck and my sawmill, but I get all my logs for free. So I have very, very little cost in what I do. Every log, when I mill a log, if I make $180 off that log, it's $180. Minus the fuel that I throw in the sawmill. That's a very, very unique business model. That is, I'm extremely lucky to be in that position.
And see, I have a little advantage like that also. I'm real good friends with some land clearers down here and have access to some fairly cheap lumber logs, and they're just going to burn them. And most of the time they'll haul them for just a little fuel money for their equipment, or call me, hey, come get these, because it's not worth for them to haul it, or you know what I mean? And it keeps your overhead way down, and that's really the goal of all of it, is keep your overhead down and try to make the other end go up.
Yep,
I've got probably 20 chainsaws. I just gave one of my tree guys, my main guy, I just gave him a Hypo 100cc saw.
Yeah.
Just gave it to him. Just here, you take care of me. Use this, because you had an 881. And his guys don't like to run it for a stump saw because it's too heavy. I'm like, here, we'll run this bitch. You're like, believe this, or you put this in the wood. And now they don't want to run it.
I don't care what market you in. Tree guys are your best friends.
Yep.
Loggers are good. Don't get me wrong, but you got to buy such a volume from them. Your tree guys, they're in the yards every day. Tree guys and graders find me the best trees, especially when they're going in and clearing a little 1 acre lot that hadn't had a tree cut on it in 100 years.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll get some beautiful stuff. Now these yard trees, there's no value in them, but when they're trimming an old 100-year-old white oak and they start topping it and figure out it's got a little rod in it, bring that thing on. That's a good one, you know.
So guys, when do you know when to go from hobby milling to full time? Anybody?
Yeah, when your job can't handle what you're doing on the side. They told me you're gonna have to quit. I said, yeah, you're right. I quit. See ya.
100%.
I'm a prime example of a side hustle and a hobby that got way out of hand.
That's kind of where I'm growing too, because I'm steadily upgrading all the time, and it's getting there.
That's the beauty of Wood Miser, Norwood, Timber King, all these sawmills that are mobile. A guy with a little money in his 30s or 40s can buy one of those mills and pay for it, and go out and hobby saw once a weekend, twice a weekend, a month, and make enough money until he gets sawdust in his blood, and then his hobby turned, into an obsession.
Yep.
And not everybody does, because I'm sure all you guys are on Marketplace, and you'll see all these mills for sale that people bought and wanted to get where we're at. But it takes time, takes a lot of work, takes a lot of effort. And buying a sawmill is just the beginning of the money.
That's only part of all the equipment that you need.
Not to mention the physical demands as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you go work. There is no sawmill made. Even my 70 with electronic controls, I still shuffle wood. Matthew shuffles wood. We handle wood all day.
It's kind of therapeutic though to come home and run the mill and get away from all the noise, just to cut wood. Get away by yourself and cut.
I ain't got my earbuds. Put your earbuds in and just saw.
And just cut.
Yep. Enjoy it. Till something goes whang.
Now, Craig, you work by yourself most of the time, right?
Yeah, I do.
You probably work harder than all of us.
He does. He just won't admit it. He's cutting all that dry wood out there in Utah.
You know,
I got the easy life, huh?
No, you're up. I know when you text me or you message me in the morning, I know what time it is out there. You get up early as hell.
You just don't know.
I got my coffee. I'm looking at 7 o'clock. I'm like, wait a second, it's like 5 o'clock out where he is. What's he doing up this early?
Craig doesn't sleep.
I got buddies in Mississippi.
You can text me at 5:30.
I'll wake you up, Craig.
My wife will come out and she'll say, "Is that Neil again?"
I call him. I say, "Golly, he's 2 hours behind me. That joker's asleep." Hello, I'm just getting my coffee pot going.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
All right, so I heard Bill mention that you cut some wood for the Constitution.
I worked on surfaced and repaired some knee braces from the Constitution. A guy that hired me to do ridiculous, crazy, organic, high-end building for him bought seven knee braces out of the Constitution that were at auction from the Navy Yard. And then he, in turn, wanted to sell them as, I guess, the best thing that they turned into was outside tables on your deck, 18, 24 inches thick, 10,000 pounds, huge, mostly live oak. And what I had to do was I had to surface them and finish them so that they would look nice, so they weren't in their rough form. And did a lot of that with hand planes. I made some great hand plane videos, hand planing those Constitution knee braces. And we had to do some epoxy work on them. Some have been around in the Navy shipyard for a long time and actually had some voids in them and things like that. But that was a neat project. They got some super secret epoxy that they put them, because they laminate them together. They used to use white oak, but then they used all the white oak in the United States, except for Gary, Indiana. And then they went over to the live oak, started using up the live oak, and they laminate the knee braces together. So they're like 1 inch thick by like 24 inches wide laminate pieces that are pressed into these knee brace shapes, big, huge curves, and then the super secret epoxy. So I actually had to talk to the Navy about how I could, what I had to use for PPE when it came down to like sanding them and stuff like that, which if somebody didn't tell me to do that, I would have never known. I would have just been sanding away. But they're like, hey, you got to talk to this girl. She's the specialist on what's the epoxy. And she was like, you got to really, really wear a mask with this stuff. This stuff's nasty. I can't tell you what's in it, but it's really nasty, nasty stuff. So that's why I hand plane most of them. I was like, hell with that, I'll hand plane them.
That's some super strong stuff made out of live oak.
Yeah,
Rick,
sure.
you want to take that question?
We got a question on there about buying logs. Guys, that's an open-ended question. It's something you're going to have to figure out for your area. There's several things you're going to need to know. The guys that are selling logs, what are their options? Do they have commercial mills they can haul it to? Do they have pulp mills, chip mills, or do they have more sawyers like you that they can haul it to? And you need to know what a pulp mill's paying versus a production sawmill. And you want to kind of be somewhere in the middle there, depending on size, length, quality, species. Nobody here can tell you a quick, easy answer. You're just going to have to work at it. Find a number that works good for you, and that'll give the person selling it to you a number they can be happy with and be willing to negotiate. I tell all my guys that bring wood, I said, if you want more money, bring better wood.
And as far as the pine goes, I buy down here when they ask me if I want to load a log or whatever, and ask them will they haul it. Yeah, sure, I'll haul it, and then ask them at first, what is it worth you to haul it to me? Yep. Now you got a starting point. And of course, you want to negotiate and try to get the price as cheap as you can get it, but as long as the two parties are satisfied and you're not paying some crazy astronomical price, I don't deal with hardwoods down here.
Well,
at all.
I find graders are your best value because they're in there to move dirt, put in a driveway, put in a basement, and do some finish grading. And the logs, the stumps, the brush, all that crap is just something they got to deal with. And if you'll tell them, hey, anytime you get logs, you just want to dump them on the yard, they'll come and dump them on the yard just to get them off their truck, get them off their job.
I work with a guy running heavy equipment, a track hoe and a dozer, and we're just finishing my brother's place. Had to just dug a 3-acre pond and then cleared another 6 acres for another friend of ours. So just every time you go home, just haul a load of logs with you.
Yeah, and I tell my tree guys, I said, hey guys, if you're on a one tree job and you don't want to carry your chipper, throw all the brush in the truck, take your skid steer, throw the logs on top, drop it off out here in the yard, and I'll throw the brush in my burn hole and deal with the logs. It helps them out and it helps you out.
You see Suncoast right there.
I had to throw that up there, Neil.
I know you did. That's who I'm working with.
But
we're kind of lucky here. We have a stump dump about a mile away.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
And all the tree services and stuff dump stuff off in that dump, and the only thing we got to do is fight the firewood guys for it.
I can choose.
Yep. Well, it's an ongoing battle. You'll have to figure it out in your area, and you may be fortunate in your area that there's nobody buying wood, and they basically just give it to you to get rid of it. And I don't mind paying for wood. I really do not mind writing a check to a guy that brings me a nice load of 16, 12-foot long yellow pines. They're all 18 to 24 inches. I'll pay you all day for them, buddy, because that's cutting cream of the crop.
Hey, Bill, I got a question for you. I want to know what your policy is on customers bringing logs to your yard.
For me to cut, just for me to cut them, or like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to
So
have
I've
them.
run into issues. I've run into issues where guys want to bring me their stuff, and then I'll contact you later with a list. If I don't take a deposit on their logs and being on my property, chances are sometimes I don't hear from them.
Sounds like it's your
I haven't really run into that. I mean, typically when somebody brings me, somebody's calling me up, and the way that it usually goes with me, unfortunately, right now I got a huge pile outside that I got to cut for a customer, but that have been here for 3 months. But usually it's they show up with 4 or 5 logs, and I cut them right away, and I stack them for them. And I ask them, we look at it and we say, "What do you want out of it?" They say, "I want this." I cut it right away, and they're gone within 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days. I did have some people that live locally that were builders that brought me a bunch of logs years ago that were kind of junk logs, like some crooked pitch pines and short stuff and a bunch of other things that never, ever, ever came back for them. We were cutting some flooring for them and out of their big logs. And then they kind of just left them here and never said boo about it again. But overall, it's not really a problem.
No. That's why you do business face to face. I'm on Marketplace, just like these guys are on Marketplace. And people ask me how to go forward. I said, well, the next step is you need to bring some money and come see me. When you bring your logs, come see me, and we'll sit down and figure out what you want to do and go forward. I use a gut feeling. If I get a good gut feeling, then we move forward. If I don't have a good gut feeling about somebody, I'll tell them right quick. Not going to be able to do that. You might need to find somebody else.
Eric, I had that just happen to me 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, I had a guy message me off of Marketplace, asked me to cut him 500 feet of 3/4 by 8 white pine, and he wanted me to shiplap it. Well, that's a pretty good order for me. It's probably going to be $1,000 order because it's going to be after I shiplap it, it'll end up being $2 a board foot, so it doubles the price for me. So it's $1,000 order, and get it done pretty quick. So he's all ready to go. I said, when do you need it by? He said, I don't need it to the end of April. Awesome. Just do me a favor. I said, I want you to text me your info and this order. I'm going to send you my cell phone number. I keep all my schedule and my text line, and every time I finish something, I delete it. So when I get up in the morning, I can look at my text line. I know everything that I have to address in life. And that night he didn't text me. So the next morning, got a bad feeling about it. I shot him another message and I said, hey, I need you to text me your info and that order for my text line. And 15 minutes later, he said, I don't want the stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, well, thank God I didn't start cutting on it, because he was all gung-ho the night before.
Yeah. Now, we've all got good customers. I've got several hundred that he called me up right now and say, I want $5,000 worth of wood. I tell him, okay, it'll be ready. But people you don't know and people on Facebook Marketplace, money up front, face to face.
Absolutely.
And believe us, we've all learned this the hard way. I've had so many piles of pine. Yeah, I need this, and this. Cut it. Don't air stack it because I'm coming get it tomorrow or the next day. 3 or 4 days later, it's a pile of mold, and there ain't nobody to be heard from.
That's why I refuse to air stack anything for anybody. I do not care. It's my meal, and I sticker everything because I've been burnt too many times. I need it. Today's Monday. I'll be there by Wednesday to get it. 2 weeks later, like I say, it's sitting over there growing mushrooms.
That's right.
I sticker everything, band everything, and we set it over there in the done pile. And if it takes them 2 weeks to come and get it, it's better when they pick it up than worse.
I've learned
Yep.
it's easier for me to. I mean, I'll custom mill for people, but it seems like it's a whole lot hassle if you make a product and sell the product. Here's this many boards. This is going to be this price, and then you go on to the next number of boards you're going to make, and here it is. They can just, oh, you want it, you show up, you pick it up, and leave with it.
And you just learn, trust your gut. You know, good Lord, all give us a gut to use, whether you got a good feeling or a bad feeling. And if something don't feel right, just be willing to say, no, I'm going to pass.
It probably isn't.
If it don't feel right, it's probably not right.
It's like when your dad used to teach, he taught us, hey, if you find yourself convincing yourself with what you're doing is okay, it's not.
Yeah, it's not. It's simple old wisdom.
Yeah, you got to kind of get into a really weird situation where it's going to cost you, though. So it's got to be something where I'm wasting a high dollar log. You know, if somebody's just like, if that guy asked me to cut 1x8 pine and I cut 500 board feet and he said, I don't want it, that's nothing.
Not really
you sell 1x8 pine, I'll did it.
Yeah,
But if somebody tells me they want a 16-foot white oak, 2x10s, and I waste a white oak log on 2x10s at 16 foot long, that's a different story altogether, because you might never sell 2x10 white oak boards again.
Exactly. I did a big white oak timber frame for a contractor a month or so back. Called me out of the blue, and first thing I asked him, I said, "You tried to get this somewhere else?" He said, "Yeah, I've tried everybody. There won't nobody do it." I said, "I'll do it." I said, "You're not going to like the price." And he sent me a list, and I sent him a price for it, and he said, "What do you need to do?" I said, "You need to bring half of that total I give you, and come see me."
So,
And a week went by, and he didn't show up. And he called me a half towards the end of the next week. He said, "Man, I forgot to bring you that money back." I said, "Well, I didn't forget, and I hadn't sawed those logs either."
that's what we do.
One thing I learned too.
He come by, wrote that check out. It cleared the bank. We did the work. He picked it up, wrote the other half of that check. Everything was good, but I got to cover my own rear end because all that timber frame stuff is just wasted white oak because I won't need it again.
And one thing that I've learned, and y'all might have too, you don't really want to price yourself cheaper than everybody because you do not want every job.
No.
You don't, you know what I mean? You don't try not to get every job because you can get over busy and then it ain't worth your time. You know, it just ain't worth it. You got to don't underprice yourself.
Yeah, you price your product at what makes you feel comfortable for your area, and you should know in your area what somebody's selling the lowest for and what somebody's trying to reach for the moon. And if you're somewhere in the middle and you're happy, then be happy and be there.
And that can all be found with a couple of simple phone calls.
Yeah.
If you want to make yourself,
what people are trying to sell.
That's right.
if you want to make yourself the worst business model, if you want to make yourself the worst business model that you can possibly make, start by trying to be the cheapest at what you do. That is the worst business model. You could not possibly make a bigger mistake. If you're out running a sawmill for a living, this ain't Walmart.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't do it. But in any business, no matter what it is, the worst thing that you can do is be the cheapest. That is the absolute, you're better to turn that away than be the cheapest at what you do.
I teach that on our YouTube channel. Learn your craft. Be the best sawyer in your neighborhood. Put out the best quality product of anybody around. We all make mistakes, but your goal, every board they take home is the same thickness, the same width, same lit, as perfect as you could make it, and then charge a premium price for what you do. And people will go to the cheaper places and they'll take that crap home and build with it, and they'll say, "My Lord, what did I get?"
You'll price yourself out of business is what you'll do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. When I was in the seafood business, we used to call it, oh, you got your kid there, a WHORE business. That's what it was called. And you circle dial a bunch of people in the morning, your customers, and they, say, do you need anything? I need X amount of cod. I need X amount of haddock. I need X amount of lobsters, whatever. The ones that would ask you the price, they'd have 4 or 5, 6 different people calling them, and they'd say, "Whoa, what did Bill quote you?" Well, he quoted me $3.25. Well, I'll sell it to you for $3. The next guy calls, so I'll sell it to you for $2.95 a pound, and they keep going down and down and down. Well, every time when somebody would do that to me, I'd say, "Good, buy it from them. Don't call me on the 4th of July when you can't get anything."
Exactly.
Because I come to you 364 days a year. The only day I get off is Easter. The only day is Easter that we don't go. Don't call me on the 4th of July when you can't get anything from that guy that just undercut me 5 cents a pound, and you decide to buy it from him.
Yep.
And that it's just better to turn away. You treat your
I
customers
spent,
good. You go to them all the time. They're going to take care of you too.
I spent 25 years in the food business. We serviced anybody that sold prepared food, restaurants, whatever. And we fought that all the time. You'd have one of your competitors, their only way of making money was to try to lowball. And customers say, well, I can get it from this company for this price. I said, well, if you can get it that cheap, get it. But just remember who comes by every day, who's by here every week. And when you forget to order something on Friday and you're not going to be in business Saturday because you didn't get it, who takes care of you?
Exactly.
Customers.
That's a way better.
We're selling the same product that everybody around here makes in everybody's area. They're buying my customer service and my quality. That's what makes my product different than everybody else's. And theirs is good product. Don't get me wrong. But if they're picking you over them, they're picking hopefully your quality and your customer service, because we're not going to lowball our prices.
Absolutely not.
Well, Neil, I hate to say this, but guess what season's coming up?
This time to go back to work.
No.
Oh, the tomato steaks?
Vampire season. Still want to wring your neck.
I just finished cutting how many this year? I just finished cutting 10,000.
Wow.
Well, I just got a ding from Marketplace about 20 minutes ago, Tim. Guy wants to know if we still have tomato steaks.
Got 4 bundles out there right now.
And how many do? And how many do we have?
4 bundles. 200.
Better get to making some.
Well, as soon as the snow gets off the trees, we might be able to.
That's why you build you a bigger shop so you can work inside, Tim.
We work inside, Eric. It's the yard.
The yard.
You drop the log yards, and then they get full of snow and cover the trees, and
Well, you got a frozen yard, log yard.
Still.
I got a muddy one.
Yeah.
Ours will be mud somewhere around the end of April.
Yeah.
Welcome back, John. Everything work out?
Yep. All good. We're all good.
Good.
I actually had a phone call the other day, early in the morning. Had a Canadian hardwoods log buyer call me. He said he'd seen me on YouTube, want to know about buying some wood. And I told him first thing, I said, dude, if you're called looking for cheap wood, you called the wrong number. I got some Amish buddies. I'll give you their number. I said, now, if you want to buy some hardwoods and pay a reasonable price, call me back and let me know. Just, stop it. Stop it right there.
No lumber buyer in the world is going to pay more.
Yeah. I don't fool with them. They're not worth their profit margin's not there. It's like dealing with pallet lumber. I don't deal with pallet lumber. Those guys, they want everything dirt cheap. I tell them, go over here to commercial sawmills and buy all their waste.
Yep.
That's Mason on the phone, Craig.
Are you good, buddy?
All right. I saw a question pop up a second ago. I'm going to put it back up on here. I don't quite understand what he's saying here. Anybody understand that?
Pay $100 for a load of logs, multiple species, wood, charging at Amish pricing or at least competitive be the cheap or should be a higher for the logs that you paid for?
Don't
I
worry
think he was
about
asking how
the
should he
Amish.
price them out, like at Amish pricing, or should he price them at what he wants?
You're not gonna outprice the Amish. I can tell you that right now,
Nope.
because they'll work for a nickel an hour.
You outdo the Amish with quality and efficiency and a product they can't produce and won't produce.
And not a month out
Right.
on orders.
Yep.
You can outprice the Amish and take their business by not being behind on your orders. And like Eric said, make sure it's accurate lumber and quality lumber. And
There's a
one thing I
niche.
was gonna
There's a niche for everybody, okay? And you got that customer that has a very thin pocketbook and they got to get it as cheap as they can, and quality is not an issue. Have a phone number to give them to call somebody. Here, call these people, they'll take care of you. I'm sorry, your 3/4 inch boards are going to be half inch on one end, one on the other. If it don't matter to you, go get them. They got them.
I go just the other way. I'm a slab guy that's local that sells all kiln dried and surfaced. He cuts the stuff down for you if you want. He's got every species on the face of the planet. Big, huge slab warehouse. He buys pine slabs from me. If somebody calls me for something that I don't have, I send them to him. And that's a big step up. It's going from a $200 slab for me to a $5,000 slab from him. But I guarantee if you want it and I don't have it, he's got it. And that's the only way it goes for me. It never goes down. It always goes up. Yeah, you go see Thatcher Smith at Plymouth Live Edge. He'll have it.
I like working with our local sawyers. I've got a whole network of them that haven't invested the money in the things that Matthew and I have. And they'll be doing a mobile milling job for a customer, and customer decides they want to, have it kiln dried, S4S or tongue and grooved or hardwood floor. And they're like, well, I know a guy. Well, yeah, I'll do the work. And, I tell them how I want it produced, what size, dimensions, and stacked, and bring it to me. And they make money and I make money, and they make their customer happy. And I'm fine with doing that. And I'll send work back down to them. I have somebody call me that's got 2 logs, 3 logs, and they absolutely have to be mobile milled. I'm like, my mill's bolted to the concrete. Here's a number for a couple of good guys. Give them a call. They'll be glad to come do the work.
Right.
Yours is bolted to the concrete and plugged in.
Yeah, and plugged in. But you take care of your local sawyers, the ones that work with you. I send them work all the time.
I probably should admit this, but I've been known to go down and buy trailer load of 2x6s and 2x4s from the Amish and resell them.
Wow, that's filthy.
Stop. Stop it. It's a business decision. Business.
Oh, I feel like I have to take a shower after thinking about that. Oh, that is dirty.
Well, when they're selling it 30 cents a board foot less than I can, and it's already cut and ready to go, all they gotta do is put it on a trailer. I'll do it.
Yeah,
no kidding. You should keep a whole stock in your yard.
I don't know. Money's money. Don't matter how you make it, guys, as long as it's legal.
That's it.
Right.
I kiln dry and for secondary process a lot of wood that I didn't saw. And I have told customers, I said, if you ever want to do this again, just bring it to me. I didn't know the sawyer on that one, but it happens. I mean, you got to learn. I know, and I'm sure everybody here does. You can think back to when you first got started. We cut some crappy wood. We was having fun cutting, but we didn't know what the heck was doing.
Well, Eric, we still cut crappy wood because people like that shit for crafts. No, they do. Serious. We'll take firewood and slab it up. We don't care. It's else.
I get people every now and then call looking for something cheap, and I have to chuckle. I said, well, you called the wrong number. Well, I'm just looking for some waste slabs. I said, I don't let waste leave here.
Didn't say it was waste.
Everything's a good quality board.
We'll take firewood and turn it into $1.50 a board foot.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Well, we
It
can't
cuts
sell
it
firewood
quicker.
around here. People have gotten lazy. Natural gas and electric is too easy.
Well, don't move to New York, because by God, our damn energy prices went through the roof.
Oh, I know you boys have a lot more cold weather and you have a lot more demand for, firewood. But down here in this particular area, all the people moving in are northerners and they're sick and tired of firewood and they got access to natural gas. And for $50 a month, they heat their house and don't have to fool with it.
We're not actually talking about selling firewood though. We take firewood
Oh,
and turn it into slabs for $1.50 a board foot.
there you go. Turn them into steaks.
That too.
Or no, steaks. Steaks pretty much got to be pretty much not free.
Yeah, they got to be not free. Boy, I call a lot of them.
Oh yeah, I know, Neil. I know.
Yeah.
And then you got firewood after when you call that. Now you have firewood because you use hardwood.
I don't know how you boys sleep at night charging so much for them tomato steaks.
And then the ones that break, you use them for stickers. So hey, multi-purpose. That's it, man.
We are, Andy. You guys price tomato steaks, hardwood tomato steaks. We're less than half price for them at Lowe's, right, or wherever it was you saw them.
I haven't bought a steak in years.
No, but you guys sent us a picture of tomato.
Paul priced them at Holland Pat Nagway. Actually, it's a co-op. It's a dairy co-op locally. That's where he got the price from.
Do you remember what the price was on a 4-foot steak?
Remember, Paul?
It's what ours is.
I think he's looking for the photo.
Yeah, I think we
like
charge
$5
about
or $6 or something.
I think we charge about half of what the big box stores are getting for steaks.
That sounds
It was
about right,
$6 a steak.
Yeah. 6-pack for
You get
6 footer. Yeah.
The steak
6 footer.
anything else.
$15 at Lowe's.
Neil, what do you charge? $2, right?
5 foot for $2.99.
No, I'm just
Oh,
Southern
okay.
Yellow Pine. Square. I don't have to point anything or anything like that. I get right at $1 board foot. It comes out to
$1.
50 cents a piece.
Yeah, we get $4 board foot for ours. So
Yeah, ours
Yeah,
is pretty close to $4 a board foot.
I'm just pine, and like I say, he used it. Sometimes he gets 2 years out of them, but I mean it's between 10 and 20,000 every January. He puts the order in.
They don't have to sharpen them down there. They don't have to play
No,
in the fields.
what he does. I mean, it's a lot of red clay and stuff they farm in. But they turn their water systems on in the fields to that because everything's already planted, and they use the plastic and the irrigation in the under the plastic. So they'll go in there and turn the water on for a day or two and soften the ground and go hammer them in.
yeah,
He told me that just the other day. I was like, how do you drive these things square in this hard dirt? And he's like, well, that's what we do. And it works out fine for them.
What are you cutting? Inch by inch or?
1 1/8 by 1 1/8.
It's just cutting stickers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. But what
We're
I
doing
usually do, he likes them
5/4 by 5/4.
long. I get a 15-foot log and cut it, stand it on the edge, and cut it all again, and then chop it twice with my chainsaw, and then count them and put them in the rack, band them, and haul them off.
Oh, I'd cut them for that kind of money. Yeah. Like I say, you just take a log up there and cut it down 1 1/8 slabs, turn it up, and just
And
right
1
to the
1/8
bottom.
again. And
That's
sometimes they get a little wild. You get some tension where one wants to pop and knock
oh
them
yeah,
over.
those are fun.
You stop and go ahead and chop them, count them, and then continue cutting on down.
Yeah.
Watch
None
them
of
curve
them
and
turn down
go
good money.
through them.
I was thinking about doing that with my short oak. Any oak short logs, cutting them into steaks.
You won't be sorry. Yeah, you might be
I
sorry.
know, but I might be on the verge of starting a firewood business. So I got to wait, and I get a buddy making his way this way from somewhere else in the world, and as soon as he gets here, might be starting a firewood business. So that's
You're
going
gonna
to
do
be
it with
real.
a firewood processor, I hope.
We're going to see. You're going to be a very interesting dynamic between us. He's going through some transition in life, So we're going to see what happens.
So are you getting a roommate too and a partner?
Well, he lives in his truck, so I don't think that he's gonna. He might want to come in and take a shower every now and then, but he's probably just going to want me to clear him a little place out back somewhere in the woods. You put his truck, and he'll be fine.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
Yep.
Russ, if you get into those hardwood steaks, you are not going to regret it, or you might. I don't know.
Now, let
We
me
got
ask
it.
you guys this on those hardwood steaks. Are you selling them to homeowners, or are you selling more towards the commercial market? Because around here,
Well,
we got
we-
no commercial market.
Well, it's been a little bit of both.
We put it on marketplace as tomato steaks, and we sold a lot of those steaks as tomato steaks, but then we got hit with landscapers, construction companies. They all want hardwood steaks and nobody sells them. And then in the fall, we got hit with snowmobile clubs wanting them for signage.
Oh, did
So-
you have to make them longer for the snow pack?
6 foot.
We
6 foot.
make them six. They're all 6 foot.
That's
And
that's a good market up there for you guys. I mean, the market
my-
snowmobile trails has got to be something that happens a lot.
Oh, Lord, yeah,
Well,
quite a bit.
we never. I told Tim if we sell 500 steaks, we'll be golden. And we sold 500 steaks on the first sale.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rick,
Lord.
how do you sharpen them?
He's got a
We
video.
built-
You need to watch it.
Yes, we made our own sharpener.
It may not be OSHA approved, but it works.
Well,
It
just
was
don't
very
get your
well.
hand in it.
OSHA approved.
There's
Come on,
a
Eric.
there's a company out there called Lumberjack Tools. They sell tenon tools and steak sharpener tools, and then you can buy an adapter so you can either put them on an electric motor or you can use them in a big 1/2-inch drill.
5/8
We
shaft.
mounted ours. We mounted ours on 3 horsepower gasoline motors, and
Nice.
they work.
Tiki Harbor Freight.
They work great.
I think there's an endless business opportunity for steaks. I mean, when you speak of steaks, it's not just tomato steaks. It's like
No.
you say, landscaping. You got guys
Yep.
that form concrete that always use steaks.
Yep.
Construction
Yep.
guys, which they most of the time cut their own.
The highway people use them for the fencing and stuff.
Yeah, you have the silt fence. When they clear land, the government requires you to put a silt fence up for runoff to stop that.
Exactly.
Waterway or something. I mean, there's endless business opportunity for that if that's the direction you wanted to go.
I'd hate to know how many tomato steaks I've made as stickers over the years, and they've just gone away. And hundreds of thousands of them. Just
Well, it
stacking
shocked
lower.
it shocked us because Hudson Forest Equipment sells a steak sharpener, and they told us there's a market in it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe. And then Neil last year was talking about cutting 10,000 steaks. So
I
I
cut
said, well,
20,000 last year.
let's try it. Let's try it. If we sell 500 steaks, we'll be ahead. Well, 500 was the first order, and it didn't slow down until the snow fell.
How do you package those to put them on somebody's truck? Do you put them on a pallet or a skid or something?
Oh, for me,
Yeah.
Hand load.
I put mine
We
in.
banned-
I got a steel rack, and I usually put 500 to 600 in there, and then I got the banding material, and I band both sides, pick them up with the forks. So that's how I'm 500 to 600 in a bunch.
We band them in packs of 25, and then we have a rack where they're just loose in the rack, and people pick out whatever ones they want. But
I
yeah,
have to think about that. I mean, make a few and put it on marketplace and just see what happens. What's the worst you got? Is a bunch of extra 5-foot long stickers.
Well,
When
you
you
might-
might
get into something, you'll be sorry.
you're trimming an edge of a board, you're cutting Wayne off, or anything like that on the edge of a board. You can always get a couple steaks. It's just like you do with a packing strip. I mean, you can turn that waste into something to sell.
Well, that's
Well,
normally
quite
how I
frankly-
cut my stickers. I cut all my inventory at 1 16 and I like all my stickers to be 1 16 square. So when I'm cutting my inventory or customer would, and you got to trim it off, stand them up there and make you 20 or 30 stickers and stack them in the corner and use them.
Well, what we do is we throw a 12-foot-6 log on the mill, just 5-quartered all the way through, then stand it all up and 5-quartered all the way through again. Cut it in half, and whatever's good is steaks.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's quick. It's quick. It's very quick. And it takes about 6 seconds to sharpen each steak.
Well, we've been talking about how to make money with the sawmill, and
if anybody's interested in it.
What's that?
This is a good thing to learn in your neighborhood.
Those steaks, if anybody's interested in it, on how I do it.
And if you really want to watch something cool, watch us sharpen them.
Yeah, then you watch the sharpening, and then you'll know the whole package, huh?
We got sharpened steaks. They got nice points on them.
They're making
Willie's Firewood down here says he sells his to contractors and grading companies.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got hit with a lot of contractors and got hit with a lot of grading companies, and then we had one guy get 1,500 steaks from us. They were building. Now get this. They're building fences for rich people and weaving willow branches in between the stakes. You ever heard of that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Building a fence out of live
willow. Yep.
Yeah.
$500 a foot. $500 a foot.
Wow.
They charge to build those fences.
Oh my Lord!
Might be getting into
That's insane.
And then,
Are they
we
a seasonal
had
fence?
what's
that?
Are they a seasonal fence, or they last for a
No,
minute? Or?
it's I don't. They put them
It's
like
a rich person thing.
like it's a rich person thing. I have no idea. They drive the stakes in the ground and then weave willow branches in between the stakes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Looks like
had
crap.
Party.
Looks like crap to me, but I don't know. Somebody
and then
likes
we
it.
had an order for 2,000 steaks for a marijuana growing place. I kid you not.
Hey, they need
That's
they
crazy.
need steaks too.
I guess.
Can't be crushing our cannabis people.
Hey, can we work out a trade?
We're not that kind of show now.
Now, Rick, we need to talk to your brother.
No. I'm just joking.
Yeah, I know. He spent
I'm not
10 minutes
joking.
with the guy. He spent 10 minutes with the guy. Next time he wants to give him the steaks. I'm like, what's the matter with you?
No. Negative, Ghost Rider. I wouldn't give nothing away. Well, maybe
Better not.
I thought you said trade.
We
Trade
did.
for some finished product?
We got some steaks. Matter of fact, we got some nice spruce this fall.
Now you're talking.
We're
I recognize that
trying
word.
for steaks. Yep.
Yeah, we're
So
cut
Bill,
steaks for
are
somebody.
you working on, or you have plans on offering planing with your new attachment on your mill? Is that something you're looking forward to in the future, or is that just something you were doing for a project?
They want me to test the thing, so I definitely have plans for it. I just can't find that. I haven't been able to find the time to put it on yet. I got to add the other 8 feet. So what Craig's talking about is I've got my mill's stationary. It's going to 32 feet long, and I've got a molder planer head here to go on my sawmill. It's going to mold and plane the other way. So I'm going to have my saw head's going to go one way. The molder planer head's going to go the other way. The saw deck is exactly the same. It will hold everything. And you can make your molder knives up to cut whatever profile you want. It's basically a D-log setup. You cut a 8x8 cant. The molder head will cut the D-log profile on the side, and then I also have tongue and groove knives that will cut tongue and groove on the top and bottom, so you can stack up Lincoln logs with a round outside profile, 8 inches thick, no framing, and build yourself a cabin if you want without having a frame with a single stick, except maybe your door jams and stuff like that. But just stack them up. Around here, I think there'd be a good market for it for like landscape timbers and things like that. So,
So does the planer head roll on the track, or is it fixed?
Plane flat too, and you can plane flat 16 inches wide, but you could also move it so you can plane your full deck wide. So whatever you can cut for your deck width, which on mine is 31, I could plane 31 wide if I kept step over, like slabs.
Nice.
But I don't know yet. I have it set up to my shed.
I assume that you'll be able to saw upwards of 30 foot in length now if you wanted to.
I will be able, at 32 feet, I'll be able to saw 28.
Okay. Because we're doing the same thing with ours.
Yeah.
We're adding a 12-foot bed extension to it. I don't plan on using it every day, but it's one of those things when you do use it, it pays.
Right.
How are
They
you gonna
wanted
get
to,
around-
I'm 24. I'm 24 feet long now. They wanted me to add a whole separate unit. And I said, well, what kind of bed does it run on? And they said, well, it runs on the same track as your sawmill. And I said, well, don't send me a whole separate unit. Just send me 8 foot of bed extension and I'll run it the other way.
Yeah.
You know, I'll put them both on the same track. I don't need them separate in 2 separate units in my yard.
Right.
Yeah. I assume your Norwood's a twin rail.
You mean twin uprights?
Yeah. Or twin
Yeah.
rail that runs on. Well, that works out good then because you can run it from one end and the sawmill head on the other end.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. As opposed to yours. Yeah.
Is the planer head manual push or electric drive?
It's manual push. Yep. It's manual push. It's just like the saw head. It's exactly like my saw head, just with a shaft and a planer drum on it.
That's what I tell people all the time. Find a way to add value to your wood. Saw and green lumber is great, but the more value you can add, the more times you get paid for that same log piece of lumber before it leaves your property.
Yeah, Neil preaches that too.
Yep.
That same thing. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and not everybody needs tongue and groove, needs hardwood flooring, but when they do, they don't have to go to somebody else. You're there. You cut it, you dried it, and you finish processed it, and it goes into their project or their house. And once you get your name out there, you just get more and more phone calls, especially contractors. They like dealing with somebody that they know that they can go from start to finish and get what they need. I like the contractors that call me early on and say, hey, we're clearing this lot. And I told the homeowner that you could cut it, dry it, and make something out of it to go back in their house. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. Bring it.
So
Yeah,
Eric,
I believe it.
what's the thickest board that you can do TNG on?
1.5 inch currently.
1.5 inches. Okay.
Yeah, actually got a bunch of it to do next week. Fine.
I would have to believe there's a big. I would have to believe there'd be a big market in log siding up here.
I get some calls for people wanting D logs, you know, the fake ones you just put on the side of the house.
Yeah.
Right. We call that log siding. You take
Yeah,
basically take a.
I got a
inch
big
and a half
machine.
by 8.
It takes a bigger one than I got to make that stuff and make it, you know, in a timely fashion.
Right.
I've done some 9 1/4 inch
Yeah,
siding out of 2x8s.
it's slow, isn't it? You got to take your time
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, it's a little bit slow. It's putting that slight arc on both sides of the cans.
Yeah, if I was going to do
Actual
that,
actual
if I was gonna
2x8
do that
Traeger is an
production-
1.5 by 8.
yeah, they make them.
It's an 1.5 inch.
Yeah, they make a mill
Okay.
that's got a progressive head that you can run at 30, 40 feet a minute, but it's a 6-figure check to write.
Yeah.
You got to put a
So-
lot of that.
So Billy, Brett was asking, what do you use to handle those size logs?
I have a 74 horsepower Bobcat track machine, T650. It'll pick up 7,000. It has. I've never gotten a log in that I couldn't pick up with it. It's an absolute little bulldozer of a machine. We bought it before we bought the sawmill, like I said earlier. But we got it in a little trade-off for a company that owed us some money and had lots of Bobcats. And we got that in a trailer. And it's I can't say enough good about it. It's an absolute monster machine. There's a misconception for you too about the sawmill business, Rick. You were talking about that earlier. If you think you're going to go out and you're going to buy a little Kubota LT35 and you're going to be moving logs around, I got news for you.
Everybody
does the same thing. Everybody goes out, they buy themselves a sawmill, they spend as little as they possibly can spend on the sawmill. And then the first thing that they do is they put the biggest damn log that they can find, or want to put the biggest damn log they can find on that sawmill and see if it'll cut it. But you got to have, I mean, if you think you're going to run anything less than 50, 60 horsepower and move logs around, it's not going to happen.
Skid steer is a very good piece of equipment to handle.
Right there, baby. Right there. That's what I move my logs with.
I used to tug them around behind the pickup truck when I was chainsaw milling. You know, I used to tug them around behind the pickup truck and chainsaw mill them up. I get a little crane in the back of the pickup that I had that winch them into the back of the truck. You know, the slabs that were 4 feet wide by 4 inches thick. And but the sawmill, getting logs up on the sawmill and getting them out of log piles and everything else. You know, they're not always the one in the front.
No,
the log
I agree.
Need might be 10 logs deep. You know, it's
the best one's always in the bottom and the back.
on
the bottom.
Exactly.
What would you suggest?
You're not going to move logs.
What would you suggest for Russ on that question, Bill? On his, he's one of my firewood buddies that's gotten into finding out how fun milling is versus how much he can actually make out of it. He wants to start subsidizing his plow truck. He wants to stop pushing snow and start cutting wood instead.
Can't say I blame him for that.
Yeah, he's told me he's been looking at the LT50, but I don't think he's actually decided.
Yeah, he's got the monster, doesn't he, Craig?
Yeah, he's got that green.
The green
it's built
monster?
up there. Yeah, it's out of Canada.
Yeah, whatever.
I thought that was hydraulic. I thought he said that was hydraulic.
No, it's a manual mill.
Oh,
What part's kicking his ass?
I think just the how much traction he's getting with it. Now that he started, he's getting a bunch of people that are knocking his door down.
Oh, good.
So just kicking his ass being busy.
Yeah, I think so. Being the manual mill, I think that's how I'm reading that. And by
Well,
talking,
you can do anything with a manual mill if you got a little bit of finesse.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. They're making.
I'm talking about you could put drives and stuff on them.
Yeah.
You could put feeds on them and stuff.
But a hydraulic mill is so much more efficient and faster.
Yeah. No ways about it. Having started as a manual and then put hydraulics on my mill, I would never want to go back.
Absolutely not.
And he can sell that green monster. He can probably get what he paid for it and just upgrade to an LT35 or something like that. And if he wants to be serious, get a hydraulic mill. Yeah, if he's getting his butt kicked and he's got all this work, that should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But Craig, were you talking about for a machine or for a sawmill?
For a sawmill.
Oh yeah, I mean, an LT35 would be a huge upgrade for him, and they're not that much money.
Yeah, like I said, he does a firewood business, so he's got equipment to handle stuff. I think they have a track hoe. They just put a claw on, and then he's got a wheel loader.
Yeah, you can buy a brand new
bunch of equipment.
You can buy a brand new LT35 with less than 200 hours for 30 or under right now.
Yep.
They're all over marketplace.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. And if you're doing any kind of work, that's a very small investment for what you're going to gain. Now you got to work, but you can see the payback real quick, especially if he gets up to 1,000, 1,500 board feet a day with him and a helper. You know, you can do the math real quick. Hey, this is paying for itself. Yeah, if it works. I said that for years when I was mobile milling. I said, man, if I could saw 3 days a week, I could survive.
Yeah, he says we have too much iron. He's leading for the 50 wide. Yeah, he'll want to do something more than LT35, I think.
And then when you get to the computer, like the 50 wide or whatever, you get to them computer mills, it's on a whole nother level.
Yep.
He
Yeah,
take
they got
the
their
guess-
learn
Pretty
out.
simple. It's pretty. The AccuSet 2 is pretty simple to pick up.
Yeah. Now this one over here, the DCS, you're going to spend some time learning how to run it, but it does so much more pattern sawing. I wish they offered it on the 50s. So it's a step up. But yeah, if he's looking to really up his production, an LT50 wide, what's a 50 wide now? 31, 32 inches, Craig?
Yeah, I don't do anything over 32.
Yeah, and my 70's only 34 with the high performance blade guides on it. I mean, I don't want to handle 34-inch wide slabs, guys. Them things are heavy.
I've only cut.
There's
I've
another-
only
Rick,
maxed
there's another
mine out a
big
couple
misconception
times.
about sawmill business right there.
Yep.
Size of
only maxed-
walls.
I've only maxed my 2020 out a couple times, and that 36 inches, and you got to have a tractor to move the slab. I mean, you don't
You
just
cut a 3-inch slab that thick, you shove it back on the forks on the tractor because you ain't gonna manhandle it.
That's right.
Nobody sawmilling and cutting lumber wants 30-inch logs. Nobody does. You want 18 to 22. Put me 18 to 22 all day long. That's the sweet spot.
Yep.
And you know, in that pine, and down here anyway, in the pine, it seems the bigger the log you have for pine, anyways, the more you run into tension problems. Especially if you're cutting a stack of 2x6s or something out of it, you'll have them. They'll bow in the middle and do all kind of funky stuff. When it seems like the smaller trees, you don't run into all that tension so much. That's what I've seen.
Some of my big spruce out here, I run into some of it has a tendency to maybe have some rot in it, being that big.
I'm the oddball, and I like them 40.
Yeah. Me
You
too.
should
I
for
guess.
your damn.
I like a challenge.
Bill, you should like them 40.
But
I have to agree with Bill.
Round, 50 foot long. That's what I go after. You boys play with sticks.
He's right.
You
The perfect
guys
size,
kill me.
16 to 18 to 30, right in that range, is the perfect log. You can make whatever you want, 1 by 14,
I
1
got you,
by
man.
12s, 12 by 12s. It's just big enough that you can cut everything that you always cut dimensionally.
Yep.
If you just want 1 by 6s, well, you could get 3 slabs of 6s and stand them up and go zoop, 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 3 at a time. Yes. But we don't always get that perfect wood.
No, but everybody always asks the same question. They always say, I'm looking for a sawmill. Well, how big a log can I cut? Well, how big a log can you pick up?
Exactly.
You gotta be able to pick it up too.
There's a couple of things you gotta look at. You can have the widest mill in the world, but if that log's crooked, you ain't cutting it.
No.
If it's got a good bend in it, you ain't cutting it.
Right.
I don't
It's
care
gonna
how
be
wide your mill is.
Yeah,
You missed.
everybody's got to learn the hard way. Somebody asks you that, and then they bring you a log, and you're like, "Oh crap! Now what do I do with it?"
Eric, I like I got these logs. They're perfectly straight. And I say, well, until you put them on something that's flat.
Yeah, I'll show you what flat is. Just give me a
Here's an
minute.
arrow. Yep, sure.
I get a good bit. People bring me some real high end stuff: cherry, walnut, maple, and I just want a 2-inch slab, and that thing will look like a banana. And I'll lay it up on the mill to where the banana is the widest part, and I'll cut that thing like a banana. And Matthew said, "What are they going to do with it?" I said, "They're going to make a curved bench." That's all I know. I said, "If I turn it up the other way and try to cut it flat, they're not going to get nothing."
No.
But you get a long log that's got 2 foot of bow in it. It looks weird on a stack.
We've cut
stack
bows.
good.
We've cut bows into slabs and sold them.
Yeah, I mean it's
Sold
beautiful.
them
piece of
pretty
wood.
quick.
like I say, if somebody wanted to make a curved bench or a curved headboard,
Absolutely. Yep.
it's truly
Yep.
organic. It's the only way you're going to get it is somebody like one of us cut it for them. And,
Yeah,
You know
we
who that
cut a
is,
couple
Rick?
of ones like, what's that?
You know who that is?
Who?
Brett.
Hey,
Yeah,
Rick,
he
what
knows
about
Brett.
doing your upgrades?
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
firewood Mill?
Brett Miser.
Brett Meiser.
Brett Melzer. He obviously knows you're into R&D.
Yeah, evidently.
They just can't leave well enough alone.
I get, yeah. People get mad at me when they see me with a
Something.
welding. When I grab a welding helmet, everybody's like, oh, crap.
Some of us.
Grinder and paint.
All right.
What are you gritted
What's
about,
that?
Mr. Craig? I know what you got.
I tried to get him to
Mhm.
frickin' I tried to get him to sandblast plain and orange for me, but he said that's the wrong department. I said I want
think
to
you'd,
come in here looking nice and orange.
Yeah, well, be careful. Be careful what you ask for.
Appreciate the stickers,
All right.
guys.
Yes, we
I'm
got
gonna
yours
ask-
today. We appreciate that.
Yeah, Two Brothers Outdoors. When did y'all start doing these?
We just started about a month ago, Rick?
Yeah. You did. I didn't.
Yeah,
Everybody-
those iron on patches.
Yeah,
Those
Everybody's going to
keychains.
get them.
Yep.
you're gonna have another
Everybody's gonna get
sideline business.
I'm not going to sell that crap. I'm just going to give it. No, it's going to be like novelty stuff. Just give it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
To the vampires.
Customers.
I like the saw blade.
You like that?
That's the one I
Rick
like.
came up
That's
with
the one
that.
I like,
That
the
is
saw blade.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get numbers on them for our inmate number, Rick. I like that idea.
We can surely do it.
Well, I've
Look,
got,
guys,
I've got,
I really enjoyed the show. I gotta get out of here. Mr. Billy, it's good meeting you.
gotta go fly.
Leo,
some
you
fish.
too, man. I love watching your channel. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh yeah, yes sir. Anytime. Y'all have y'all a good evening.
See you, Neil.
All right,
Take care.
Neil.
Thanks, Bill.
We'll see you.
all right, William, I'm going to ask you one last question. If somebody watching tonight wants to turn their wood skills into an income, what advice would you give them? And running and runaway is not an answer.
Play to your strengths and play away from your weaknesses. So pick out what you do good, and you'll find there's so many things you can do with wood. You'll find some niche in that area that you can do really well that you can make money at. I think the worst thing you can probably try to do is do something that you don't know how to do and try to make money at it. That's how people go broke. So pick something that you really are good at. If you're good at using a router, then get some templates and make some stupid little whales or kitty cats or whatever and paint them funny colors and sell them at the shop down the street. If you're good at chainsaw carving and carve chainsaws, but if you're good at chainsaw carving, don't go buy a sawmill. It's play to your strengths, play away from your weaknesses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Good
not
advice.
running a sawmill business is not for everybody. Just because you like working with wood. I tried to run a woodworking business, while I was still working, doing stuff on the side. And I got to the point I just truly hated it. I didn't like it. It wasn't my passion. And I got in, bought a LT35 and have loved it ever since. And that's something you can do every day. Yeah, I get mad. I fill my swear jar up some days. Okay, everybody does. But I still love what I do, and I have a passion for it. And I hope that shows in our YouTube videos of teaching and trying to help the next generation understand work ethic, finances, and planning, and running a business, customer service. And if you can find something that you by all means do it.
I just realized Matthew was your son. I didn't even know until like your last video, like 2 days ago.
I don't feel
I just
bad.
thought he was a swamper.
I go out with my dad all the time, and he's 80 years old, but he don't have a stitch of hair. He can't grow a beard, and I get called his freaking brother all the time.
All right.
That's perfect.
I'm like, I don't. That's a pretty good deal for you, but I don't think I look 22 years older. I hope.
All right, guys. We appreciate everybody that came along with us tonight. Bill, we appreciate you joining us on the show tonight. And I think we had a pretty good show.
Yes,
Anybody
sir.
else got
Absolutely.
anything to say?
Yeah, no, I want to appreciate Bill coming on there. I've met him at Bunyan, and what a great guy. He's got a lot of great content and a lot of knowledge out there for sure.
Yeah. The only thing we
That's
didn't
great.
cover tonight that we're really passionate about on this channel, guys, is buy American made. But everything every one of us is doing is making an American made product, and I'm super proud of that.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
That's it for me.
I got nothing.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you joining us tonight, and make sure you catch us on the third Saturday of every month, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. All you guys hang in there for a minute. We'll see each other in just a second as soon as we close out the live stream. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for
Good
chiming
night,
in, people.
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bill.
Thanks.
We want to thank everybody for stopping by the show tonight. And remember, it's the third Saturday of every month that we all gather and are on the show. See you later, guys.